It was a surprising injury report on both sides for Friday. We did not see Alvin Kamara at practice today for the Saints, but the Bucs also had a couple surprises as far as game designations. Two of their big guys on defense are ruled out for Sunday's game. We will get to that in today's show, as well as all the matchups. Coach Nick is back with his play of the day. Even though it was last Thursday, we still had him pull a play out of the hat that you're going to break down today for us.
Yeah, and if you pull like a bad thing out of the hat and it bites your hand or something, you got a snake in there, you can go check out the Toro Hospital. They will get you right. If you have a venom bite or whatever you need, the LCMC.
Venom bite.
Yeah, venom bite. The LCMC Medical Network. Make sure you go check them out. We're presented by PJ's Coffee. And if you need a new car, check out my guy Matt Bowers. Dealerships all over the Gulf Coast region. Best dealer in the whole entire galaxy, even though they're all right here. You can compare them to anyone. I'm telling you, they're the best. Get you the best prices. And if you need a last-minute gift for someone that you forgot about, you can act like you really love them, even though you forgot them, by checking out Woodhouse Day Spa and getting them a gift certificate. They can get a massage, a facial, whatever they need, and they'll get them right, relaxed, and rejuvenated going into the new year. All right, let's hit these ads. B, you better be ready. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Are you looking for the perfect engagement ring? Look no further than Friend & Company Fine Jewelers' new engagement salon. This new area houses a wide selection of engagement rings to choose from in all cuts, sizes, and colors. Their experienced staff offer 5-star customer care to help you find the perfect ring to express your love. Visit their new engagement salon today. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, the perfect ring for the perfect moment and also for the perfect person. 7713 Maple Street between Adams and Burdett Street. 504-866-5433. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Check them out at friendandcompany.com. Moe's Barbecue is located in Metairie. They have your game day needs taken care of. Whether you're tailgating or watching the Black and Gold or LSU at home with friends, Moe's has you covered. Order pulled pork, wings, ribs, sides, and more. Come in with the family for lunch and dinner, as our kids' meals will please even the pickiest of eaters. Tailgating, parties at home, lunch and dinner, Moe's Barbecue will handle it all. Moe's Original Barbecue, 1101 North Causeway Boulevard between 48th and 49th Street in Metairie. Call 504-407-5333 for your catering order today. 504-407-5333. Moe's Original Barbecue in Metairie. The holidays are a time for giving, and what better gift than the gift of relaxation? With the gift card to Woodhouse Day Spa, your loved ones can choose from a wide range of services to help them de-stress and rejuvenate. Visit their New Orleans, Metairie, Mandeville, Slidell, and Baton Rouge locations today, or visit their website to purchase a gift card and give the gift of relaxation this holiday season. Woodhouse Day Spa, where relaxation is a gift. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show.
Let's get into our lead topic, presented by Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, the official jewelers of the New Orleans Saints. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers is also home to an engagement salon. Be sure to go check out their engagement line, and while you're there, ask them about their collection of fleur-de-lis earrings and necklace that you see here. They are specially priced for our NOF audience. Go check them out. Still the holiday season. Great gift for New Year's Eve. You still have time. Guys, go buy your lady something nice. All right, let's get to the lead topic. What is this team made of? What team are we going to see in Tampa Bay? Is this going to be a team that wants to take the field and make the playoffs, or is this maybe an opportunity for the players to maybe voice their own concerns, as we have seen happen in the NFL with some other organizations that have now lost their head coach and some general managers?
Yeah, I'm caught up on the phrase, what are they made of? I have no idea what they're made of. Are they like that Pop-Tart mascot that like kind of got peeled apart on the internet right now?
No.
Like, I don't know what they actually are. Like, it's a good idea, and then like you get to it and it's like, I don't know, the inside wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Like, that's kind of what the Saints are right now, though. They're an idea that just didn't really come to fruition. I don't think they're made of enough. I think, no, I don't think they're going to win this game. I don't think it's just tough. Like, if they get behind in this game, what is there to play for? What is there to fight for? Like, we've seen them come back a million times, and I think they're always going to do that because that's just what these players are. It's in their DNA. I think their leaders are just kind of built like that. Tyron, DeMario, Alvin, like those guys are just always going to fight until there's nothing left to fight for, even through extreme frustration. But ultimately, this team in and of itself, what are they made of? Like, just not enough. Like, whatever the material is, there isn't enough of it.
I kind of think it depends on what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really made of, because I think the Saints have really they're better than all the crappy teams, and they're worse than all the good teams. And I mean, it's kind of played out that way, give or take a game here or there. But like all their wins have come against teams that are worse than them. And if they play a team that's way better than them, like the Rams and Detroit for a little while, they got outclassed. And I don't know where Tampa Bay falls in that. A couple weeks ago, it felt like the Saints and Tampa Bay were even, or maybe even the Saints were a little better, but then Tampa Bay's now won 4 games in a row. Is that really what Tampa Bay is? Is Tampa Bay still going to be that without Shaq Barrett, without Carlton Davis? If Tampa Bay is anywhere near as close to as good as the Rams, though, then they'll blow the Saints off the field. The Saints just aren't in that class of teams, and I don't know if I don't know where Tampa Bay fits.
Want to clarify too, because a lot of people are saying who was at practice, who wasn't at practice, and a lot of people on social media are saying, oh, well, this is saying something about them wanting to play. No, Alvin Kamara was sick today. Jordan Howden was sick on Wednesday. Lou Hedley was also sick today. This is a punter who wants to still prove that can maybe put together a start to finish good game. That's a bigger concern for me, though, is if Lou Hedley is unavailable this Sunday, what direction do the Saints go in? Because he is questionable to play, which we'll get to this injury report. Lonnie Johnson and Ryan Ramczyk are both ruled out. Isaiah Foskey, Kendre Miller, Peyton Turner, Alvin Kamara, and Lou Hedley, as I mentioned, they are all questionable to play. And interesting on the Bucs side of things, Shaq Barrett and Carlton Davis, who are 2 big pieces of that Bucs defense, they are both ruled out. What does it say for this Saints offensive line now that they're not going to have to worry about Shaq Barrett?
Well, I think it helps a lot, especially when you're down Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, that's a major thing. That's one of the better pass rushers in the league. What's he have? 4.5 sacks, I think, but like 60 pressures this season. So he's somebody that was going to be able to wreak some havoc. And if you put him up against Landon Young, and he does rush more over the right tackle than the left, about 100 more snaps there this season. So that would have probably been a primary assignment. So I think it helps a lot. What did you hear about Kendre Miller today? I know DA said that maybe he'll come back, but you reported something.
Well,
it
seemed like earlier in the week that he was trending toward playing, but that injury that he's dealing with, it's lingering, and he felt more of it today in practice. And I feel like at this point in the season, and this is just in my opinion at this point, why rush somebody back when you have 2 games left? And the playoff hopes, even if you do beat the Bucs, are still very, very slim. To me, this wouldn't be smart for Kendre Miller to rush back unless Alvin Kamara is not up, but we do expect Alvin Kamara to be healthy enough to play Sunday. And if Kendre Miller is not healthy enough, then he should not be out on the field, which it sounds like that injury is still an issue. And so he's probably leaning toward not playing, but still a game time decision.
Yeah, I agree with that. And look, just on the injury front overall, there's always the change in cards. If somehow they have a great win this week and then everybody's opinion changes and stuff changes. But based on what I'm hearing today, we will not see Marshawn Lattimore or Mike Thomas again this season.
This whole season?
This whole season. Mm-hmm.
Injury related?
I do not believe that they're going to play again this season. So, I mean, they're fighting their injuries. I don't think we're going to see them again this season based on what I'm hearing today.
Yeah, it's so disappointing. I mean, it's yet another disappointing reason for this team to not realistically be in a playoff chase. And I wonder if that would have changed anything.
But two teams still got to suit up and play on Sunday, which is why we got our Friday matchup. So let's get to our first key matchup. Derek Carr versus the Bucs pass rush. These are a lot of empty stats. I know Nick is going to look at me a certain way when I say this, but we've got to acknowledge it. Quarterback Derek Carr is one of 2 quarterbacks with 6 games with 6 games with 300 plus passing yards in 2023. He's aiming for his 3rd in a row with 3 touchdown passes and 100 plus quarterback rating. In week 4 versus the Bucs, his quarterback rating pretty bad, 68.2.
That's an ugly game.
Before we get to the Bucs pass rush, let's look at their pass defense. They are 32nd. That is worst in the NFL defending the pass. They give up an average of 264.1 passing yards per game. Now the pass rush, it's tied for 9th in the NFL with 44 sacks on the year. They blitz 3rd most in the league with 41.2% blitzes on pass plays specifically. So is this an area Derek Carr maybe has some success?
It surprises me that Tampa Bay's pass defense stats aren't more impressive because I think they did as good a job as shutting down Derek. Now, look, Derek, that was the week that Derek Carr returned from that shoulder injury, the very first shoulder injury that he had when we didn't even know during most of the week if he was going to play or not. But it was more about that. Tampa Bay solved the Saints early in the season, which was this team is a team that wants to throw deep to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, and we're going to take that away from him. And that all year long, that is still what Derek Carr wants to do most and what Derek Carr does best is try to find deep openings to Shaheed and Olave. If you take that away, you frustrate him. You frustrate this offense. That was the game where Derek Carr completed 13 passes to Alvin Kamara for 33 yards. That's like an impossible math. Carr completed 23 passes in that game for a total of 127 yards. It was settle for this, settle for this, settle for this. So if this is still a Tampa defense led by Antoine Winfield on the back end, they won't have Carlton Davis. But if they really can take away the deep shots to Olave and Shaheed, I don't see the Saints formula to have a lot more. They'll have more success than that, but not to have a lot more.
I had to read the Derek Carr stat again because it's unbelievable. One or two guys with games like that, that's...
You just wonder why there hasn't been a whole lot of success when you see those numbers. That's why we continue to say empty stats, because they don't really mean much unless you're winning games too.
Empty because a lot of those have come in the catch-up games.
Absolutely.
Detroit, LA,
yes,
where they weren't really amounting
when it was
to
a little too late, and that's why you wonder why. I asked Dennis Allen and Derek Carr this after the Thursday night game. Why does it continue to have to be the team kind of picks up its pace when it's in desperation mode? And they're like, well, we love to see the fight, but we don't know why it's not happening sooner. And that's kind of just been the basis of the season. You look at how many of these games, it's either one score or 8 points, and we are there and we're watching the games. It's never really, felt like it was in reach, but they do get there in the end. It's just always a little too late.
Yeah, it's like not every one of these games has to be like a Rocky fight. Like you don't have to go 12. It doesn't have to be like an epic
have a knockout punch once.
Yeah, like shout out to Rocky, one of the greatest living Americans right now of our time. But like you can win a fight like 85 Tyson and go out and knock someone out in the first round, and like that's fine. Like you can go out and do that. You're allowed. It doesn't have to be something like a slug it out. But yeah, I mean, look, there's just too many drives that are like drives to nowhere, and you know, as Mike said, though, he does like to throw it on the field. Chris Olave right now is second in the NFL in incomplete air yards with over 1,000. Carr's targeted him for 1,000 incomplete yards this season,
plus 1,000 complete yards.
Yeah, and look, that's not like a crazy stat really either, because like AJ Brown's third and
DeAndre Hopkins on that list.
I think he might be number one, and Garrett Wilson's I think in the top 5 too. So like. It just the nature of the way they play, that's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy stat. But the way he likes to attack might be tough this week with the way they play. Just their scheme itself kind of takes away some of those deep shots down the field. So you do have to kind of go underneath, try to figure out the stuff over the middle. So he's gonna have to find a way to target his way down the field, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they go about it. Because in the first game, as you mentioned, ugly, low pass rating, did have the injury, but like there just wasn't anything down the field for him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in this one. A big part of the Saints wanting to find some success in Tampa Bay on the ground. Saints run game has to get going. So let's get to our next matchup. Saints run game versus the Bucs run defense. Saints have had one of the worst run offenses in the NFL in the league this year, ranking 31st in the NFL with an average of 3.6 yards per carry. It's going to be hard to win a game anytime you have stats like that. The Bucs, on the other hand, have the 7th best run defense in the league. Antoine Winfield is one of the best run defenders in the league. And of course, Levante David, the name just speaks for itself. He's one of the best. And Devin White now is back, and he will be playing this week. He kind of has been having a little bit of issues over there in Tampa Bay, whether they were trying to figure out if it's injury or something else as to why he missed the last game. But man, those three, like that tandem might be the best in the NFL.
It's not how you build your team normally. Like you don't think I want linebackers and safeties. You talk about edge rushers, you talk about cornerbacks, but I do. And it played out that way in the first game. I think those were 3 of the biggest playmakers in the game. Antoine Winfield was a monster. He hasn't really slowed down since.
Yeah, look, the Saints are just a bad running team. They got a bad scheme. The way they build their run game is bad. They don't get to their runs the right way that they should. They don't create enough space. Like Alvin's yards before contact this season, I believe, are the lowest of his career. They run so much on outside zone. He's not a good outside zone runner. They're averaging like 3.6 yards per carry on outside zone plays. When they're doing man running plays, it's 4 yards a carry. So a lot of this stuff is self-inflicted. They don't have the players for it. They don't have the right scheme. And it used to be easier to be a good running team. Like they used to be able to just run the ball with ease before in like 2017. But like part of the reason for that is because teams used to respect their passing game a lot more than they do now. So you could get through your runs a little bit easier and there'd just be more space for it. But like there is not space for this running game right now. And you pair it with that, and then Alvin's yards after contact, or I think the third lowest of his career in the last 3 years, or the 3 lowest seasons of that. And you just kind of pair it all together, and you don't have the right blocking. You aren't giving your running back enough space. You aren't running the ball enough to the schemes that suit him. And that's how you have a running game that averages 3-point-some yards per carry overall. And it's just this ugly cocktail of just ineptness that just is not getting better the whole entire season.
Yeah, I don't see how it necessarily gets better in this game. One thing that we said, though, when they're playing from behind every week, I mean, I think that is also affecting their run game. It's affecting their pass rush on defense. It's affecting their run game on offense, constantly playing from behind, never playing with a lead. I'd like to know if the Saints were better at those things, if they were ever protecting a lead, which they're never doing. But, you know, the other name when we talk about the Saints run game, Taysom Hill, 2 carries, 2 yards last week. Then they abandoned the run. Wasn't playing much at all the week before that, before he got hurt. I would hope that if this is a kitchen sink game, that, you say throw everything into the game plan, that means a heavy dose of Taysom Hill trying to get that run game going in this game as well. But we'll see.
2 things. When you and I talked to Taysom Hill yesterday after practice, he was not willing to give these 3 the title of, a unique trio that has just been really great this season, even though he knows how good they are. When I asked him after your question, I said, yeah, but what makes them different and why are they so difficult? And then he went, I mean, it's no secret what they're able to do. And we saw it. I remember sitting there in week 4 in the press box just thinking, like, are Levante David, Antoine Winfield, and Devin White that good? Or is this team just really that bad in running the football? And it's no secret around the Saints facility either. Pete Carmichael acknowledged it this week, saying run blocking and getting Alvin in space, that's where he thrives. They're not doing a good enough job of it. We'll see how the coaches can put together a game plan and try to fix that this week. All right, next big matchup, and this is arguably the one that could decide the game. Saints cornerbacks versus the Bucs wide receivers. And the marquee matchup that we all hope for twice a year, it's just not happening this week with Marshall and Lattimore not available against Mike Evans. So it's going to be by committee how they handle Mike Evans. They'll likely play sides, which means Isaac Yiadom, Alante Taylor, Paulson Adebo are all going to get a shot at Mike Evans. And it's really disappointing seeing how those 3 got exposed. Not so much Paulson Adebo, but I would say Isaac Yiadom and Alante Taylor absolutely got exposed last week in LA against the Rams. They were targeted for 252 yards. Dang.
As a trio, yeah.
Just, it's tough. Alante Taylor got benched. Isaac Yiadom got exposed. Paulson Adebo had an okay game. How do they handle now Mike Evans and
I would kind of throw Adebo in there with them all, because I
Okay.
think he gave up like 90 yards. I mean, look, all of them looked rough. It was like 90, 90, 70. I can't remember who was who, but like they all kind of gave up a handful of plays. So as far as like exposed is strong on Adebo, but like as far as a guy that is kind of looking like he was Pro Bowl, one of the better corners in the league for most of the year. Like
and
it was
the
a
stats
little
say
bit.
that a little bit too. With the I think he's still top 5 in pat.
The
passes
stats absolutely
defended?
say,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely say. And I mean, look, it's competition, matchups, all that stuff plays into it. But then you get good receiver, good quarterback, and you kind of see it a little bit. This is going to be, the one that kind of is the proof is in the pudding. If you can bounce back from it, okay. Last year was a blip, and sometimes cornerbacks just have bad days. If you get back on track on this one, cool. If you don't, it's a little bit of an undressing. So this could definitely be a game where you see it for sure.
Yeah, I think last week was really disturbing. Maybe it was a blip, but it really, really feels like this is the first time you saw a great quarterback all year. It's the first time you saw a great receiving duo all year, and they ate your lunch. I mean, it was eye opening how bad they were against that duo. Now, Stafford isn't just the best quarterback they faced all year, as I think it was Alante Taylor who said it, but we were talking to someone this week who said Matthew Stafford was on one last week. I mean, he played great. He probably played his best game of the season too. But I mean, Baker Mayfield's been doing good. We're about to get to that. I know he's been doing good in the middle of the field. Those crossing routes were chewing them up. I mean, if that's what they're like against quarterbacks who are playing well and good receiver duos, then this suddenly that was the one matchup you could kind of count on with the Saints week in and week out was, I mean, they didn't even really get torched by Amon-Ra St. Brown. They didn't really get torched by Calvin Ridley, but boy, oh boy, did they get torched last week.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And speaking of players playing well, quarterback Baker Mayfield, which gets to our next key matchup and our last one, Baker Mayfield versus the Saints defense just in general. He has pieced together an incredibly solid season. He's completed 64.3% of his passes for 3,598 yards with 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. It's a great touchdown to interception ratio. His 96.2 passer rating is the best of his career and betters the 93.6 posted by yours truly, Derek Carr, that is here in New Orleans. Mayfield has been incredible attacking the short middle area specifically of the field, where he's hit on 100 of 129 passes for almost 1,000 yards. Bad news for the Saints, since they have allowed opposing quarterbacks to hit on 94 of 127 passes for 861 yards in that area of the field this season. So not looking so strong outside, especially after what we saw on Thursday night. Do you think Baker Mayfield is just somebody who is going to be able to have his way and pick this defense apart?
Well, I think you just highlighted it really well with those stats. I mean, if you can attack kind of that soft underbelly and you open that up, I mean, it just makes everything so much easier, because if that's a little bit, and they have great players in the slot too. So I mean, like, if you can hit that stuff over the middle, I think it's a huge problem. I think we're going to see a couple of explosive plays, like start off on catch and runs over the middle of the field this week. And if you can't stop it, it's going to be a really, really long day.
And even if that wasn't what you did best, you're going to test Alontae Taylor after what you just saw last week. Is his head on right? How's he going to respond from getting benched last week after he got picked on pretty good by the Rams? And yeah, like you said, I mean, Godwin operates out of the slot a lot. They'll put Mike Evans in the slot sometimes. There's Trey Palmer. He's played 53% of his snaps in the slot this year. So they have a lot of different guys that they will shuffle in and out and give them different looks with. And then running back Rachaad White, they've thrown to him a ton this year. He's become a huge part of their passing game. So that middle of the field is going to get worked.
One of the things, too, that was interesting just looking at their last few games is they're winning without really having to run the ball that well, which says a lot about what Baker Mayfield is doing at quarterback. It's going to be tough against the Saints this weekend as they're in Tampa Bay. 2 games left. Saints have to win this game if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive, which would still be very, very slim. If the Saints lose this game, playoff picture just completely closes. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we hear from you, the audience, with our question of the day. Coach Nick is back with his play of the game from the previous game. That'll be on Thursday night. And of course, our game predictions. We'll be right back.
'Tis the season for gumbo combos at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Enjoy our hot gumbo, fries, and your choice of shrimp, catfish, soft-shell crab, or frog legs starting at $9.99. That's right, $9.99 at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
No loan payments for 90 days with local financing from Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union on your next auto, boat, RV, ATV, or motorcycle. That's right, no loan payments for 90 days when you close your loan by December 31st. Jefferson Financial offers easy-to-use online applications, fast decisions, and local personalized service. The financial products you want with the convenience you deserve. We are Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
At Turo, we were born for moments like this. From bringing new bundles of joy into the world to delivering what new mothers need to stay healthy. Born to keep hearts beating strong and to keep seniors active and healthy for years to come. Because at Turo, we deliver more than babies. From heart care to cancer care and newborns to seniors, at Turo, we're born to care.
Hey Brad, I got you something I think you're really gonna like for your gift this year.
What? Is this one of those Martin's exclusive bourbon bottles?
Picked it out just for you.
Maya, this is awesome. But I think you're gonna love the gift I got you a little bit more.
Wow, Mega Wine generic brand vodka. Brad, you shouldn't have.
Don't mention it.
No, Brad, you shouldn't have.
Look, small batch, smooth, soft spice.
I'll take a New Orleans Saints scratch up. Play New Orleans Saints from the lottery. Just scratch, fold, and punch your way to winnings. Punch your ticket with New Orleans Saints. Win up to $100,000. Enter our second chance drawings, giving you a season to smile.
Welcome back to the Turo Hospital studio. Time now for our moment of the day presented by New Orleans Hamburger or Seafood Company. We had a chance to talk with tackle Ryan Ramczyk this week. And to be honest with you, it wasn't a fun conversation to have. We had to ask him about his knee injury that has just been lingering for the last 4 or 5 years and why it has now kind of snuck up on him and been pretty serious and has put him on the sideline for a couple of games now. The injury is serious. Could this affect his playing career even into next year? Could he potentially be thinking about retirement?
Well, I don't know if he's not thinking about retirement, and he very specifically said, "I don't think I'm done yet. I want to play." And I talked to him. One of the reasons he hasn't done, this reminds me of Teron Armstead, who used to be really open and honest about everything he was fighting through with his injuries and just trying to get it right. And Teron did a little of everything. Nick has a great story you can find through a Google search in the past. Went to Europe. I mean, he just tried everything. With Ryan Ramczyk, he hasn't necessarily done that, and actually has not even had surgery in 3 years, because he thought he found a pretty good management program last year. The injuries were really bad in 2021, where he missed 7 games. But last year, he didn't miss a game until the end with a hip injury. They figured out, take Wednesday practices off, strengthen, rest, management, and he was pretty happy with the season he had. And actually, remember this offseason, Nick had him as the second best, highest-ranked player on the roster because he liked what he saw from him last year. Felt good all offseason this year, but he said he kind of got lit up in week 1, and it's been an uphill fight ever since. And it reached a point where he couldn't go these last 3 weeks, and depending on how the games go, might miss the entire last 5 games of the season. So now he knows he's in for the talk to as many surgeons as he can, doctors as he can, former players who've dealt with this. His condition is a cartilage defect. It's basically bone on bone in his left knee. And he wants to keep playing, and he wants to figure out, how can I keep doing that? How can I stop this from happening? And so this is going to be a research heavy, talk to a lot of people, try some different things off season for him because he wants to play, but it's a shame because he's even admitted very reluctantly that, he thinks his play has dropped off as a result a little bit this year too.
He might not be thinking about retirement, but his knee is.
Yeah.
And the knee is going to be the thing that wins that conversation ultimately. So I don't necessarily know that I see it going that way, but a few weeks ago, Brooke on our pregame show brought up, the possibility, and I was like, no way. But I think it's definitely something that could happen. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I think it's something that people in the organization are wondering as well. Look, the thing is, no matter what, if he comes back next year, you cannot pay him a $17 million base salary at this point. He's just not that player right now. He's kind of average a little bit this season, and the knee's been a big thing, and it's not going to get better. So, I mean, they got to find a way. Look, you're better with him. I think the biggest shame for Ramczyk is that he was legitimately the one guy on the team that I thought had the best Hall of Fame odds because he was getting recognized in real time for his play, and that just doesn't happen with offensive linemen. It's usually a couple years after they've built their name in league circles. The voters are like, oh, this guy's really great. Ramczyk was an All-Pro 3 out of his 4 first seasons, and then he just missed 6 games 1 year, 7 games.
7.
Was it 7 or were they playing 16 then? It was 6. It was 7? Whatever
it was. The first year of the 17.
He played 10 games, that year. And then it was just kind of the recognition was off, and he just hasn't quite been the same player since. But look, the crazy thing is I think this is just really eye-opening in the sense of the core that was built in 16 and 17, it's over. It is over. You are at the end of that chapter. And these aren't guys that I think that you're building your team around anymore. You have to find new building blocks. They're all getting old, and they're all leaving their prime, and some of them are going to be leaving the city maybe. I mean, but it is done for that group of players, and you got to find a way to rebuild this team quick. And you haven't done a good enough job in the draft. It's just kind of all the what did they say? The crows are coming home, whatever it is. The chickens are coming home to roost. That's kind of what it is right now with some of the misses of recent years, and these pillars that you just kind of relied upon, they are crumbling under the weight, and they can't hold it up anymore. So you got to find a way quick to start rebuilding this because that chapter is over.
And it's been a few years since those players were in their prime and this team was in its prime. I mean, how often do we all talk about 17, 18, 19 when they were all playing so well and had an opportunity? We continued to think that maybe this is the team. Maybe this is a team that finally punches the ticket to the Super Bowl and time has run out. And I think even more importantly, he's got to make decisions too as a man and, outside of football. And do I want my quality of life to be affected by this? Like, am I going to be able to walk? How am I going to be able to interact with my family, my friends, things like that? Like, this is absolutely some of the things that come up, I think, too, specifically with linemen in the NFL, because every single play, those are the ones that are just the car crash every single play. It's something to think about. And again, it was really sad to talk with Ryan Ramczyk because it's clearly something that's been bothering him. All right, Nick, time to move on to something positive. Let's get to the money segment.
We are not moving on to something positive here.
Let's get to the money segment.
Positive play. We are not moving on to something positive.
Hold on, let me get the ad read in just so we can. Money play presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Now go.
Yeah, we are living in the negativity, brother. We are breaking down. We are breaking down the interception. I mean, because look, it was that kind of game. I'm not gonna highlight something good. Come on, this game was bad. So I'm breaking down.
So what are we calling this? Not the money play. It is the.
It's just
lose money for the Rams.
There you go.
Look, it's spent. It's spent money, not saved money. So yeah, look, this is this is the interception. But look, we all kind of we've been talking about the offensive line, and you can just kind of see how the protection breaks down on this play. And look, there is a ton of blame to go on Derek Carr. Like, I'm not giving Derek Carr a pass. Like, every time you give Carr, you say something about the offensive line, the Carr, people are like, no, it's all on Derek. Or if you say something about Derek, they're like, oh, no, see all the offensive line. Look, it's a breakdown on both sides. But anyhow, we gotta kind of look. We see a lot of these types of route concepts. We keep breaking them down. Just kind of some of these things where they got guys crossing and setting up things that just down the field with scissor concepts. You got a crossing route here with Olave. Look, I like a lot of what the Rams are doing with their blitz here. They're showing 4 up front, and it kind of looks like everybody's going. You got 0 in an attacking position. This guy here is too, but he ends up dropping back into his own blitz. This guy ends up coming. He goes to the outside, and then you get Aaron Donald attacking right here, which puts Alvin in a spot where he's going to have to pick up a blitz, which is, as we have seen throughout the whole entire season, that has not been a good proposition for this team. But just getting another look at kind of how they're coming. You got your guy here. Again, he dropped back. He's coming. Got your blitz right here. Alvin's got to pick him up. This guy's working the edge. And Derek is back there trying to read down the field. As you see, as he's throwing the ball, Alvin misses his block. He would have got hit here. You got this guy coming. Shout out to Pete for handling Aaron Donald, though. Very good blocking there. Handles business. So we're down the field here, and this is where Carr is looking. He's trying to hit Jawan on this, and you do have this good amount of space here. Like, if this would have been better blocked, you got a huge chunk play right there. Because you got both guys over here. And again, that's that scissor type of concept we've been talking about all year, where you just kind of put people in a bind. Safety kind of has to make his choice. The other one gets dug out. So you do have that area all over here where you can go with the ball. But Carr gets hit. It's short. The guy sitting underneath picks it off. But again, you got a ton of space over here. So the money concept here, you do have a good play. But the blocking, as we've been talking about all season long, it is. I mean, there's just too many plays where stuff's crashing in. And you can say whatever about Derek. On this particular play, there is nowhere to go. You are just cooked every single direction. You're getting hit. This guy here, man, some of the pass pro stuff all season long has been an issue. I don't know what they got to do there. They've tried to put Jamal Williams in on some of those situations. Somehow going into next season, whoever the running back is on these third downs does have to be able to block. And I know there's so many times people are like, why is Alvin off the field on third down? Why is Alvin off the field on third down? Just the truth of the matter is there are too many plays where somebody is getting through due to a missed block, and he has not had a good season in that regard. It's been a couple seasons since he's been good in that regard. So that's why on some of those third downs, you don't see him out there. I know it's just so easy to be like, where's Alvin? Where's Alvin? Where's Alvin? Sometimes it's a little bit better to have somebody else in there because you do have to get that block. So it doesn't happen here. You get an interception, and it is not on 4. Not this time. So that is the money play of the week. Yeah,
Dennis Allen has specifically said that's why Jamal Williams is in the game. Although Jamal, this was not his finest hour. Dennis Allen said he thinks he's been good in pass protection this year. He had 2 of those whiffs in 2 big spots in this game, too, on the 3rd and 5 or the 4th and 5. The 4th and 5.
Yeah, no,
where he threw it early to Juwan Johnson.
There's a breakthrough on the whole right side of the line, and they gave it up on that. But I mean, look, it's easy to just sit there and be like, this guy should be in. But like sometimes you got to be able to, if you're really watching it, like, man, like sometimes it does make a little bit of sense. But you got to find a way, I think, to get Alvin on the field to be a playmaker, and you can get somebody else in that protection role. Like whatever you're doing, like there are ways, but sometimes, like, man, his pass pro grade just can't be good this year.
And it is a head scratcher because somebody like Foster Moreau has been a good protector there. Why don't you just put him in and move Alvin somewhere else?
I mean, you could potentially use someone like Foster as like an H-back, like and set him back there and move Alvin out. I mean, if you're just blocking, it doesn't matter if it's like a huge tell anyhow. So like if that is what you're doing, you could use a tight end, and when we've seen them do that before with like Josh Hill. So you could, I mean, you could use somebody else in that role. But yeah, I mean, look, he hasn't just keeping it a buck, like he hasn't been great in that role this year.
Sticking with the running backs in the run game, let's get to our fantasy segment presented by Louisiana Lottery. Over under 50 rushing yards Sunday against the Bucs.
Okay, first of all, I saw this and I almost was like, 50 rushing yards.
Oh, I'm putting 50.
Like you can't mean that, but
I mean it. I know
why
that.
you mean it, because last week the Saints ran for 35 yards and the Bucs only allowed 37 yards. So it happened last week. It's the only time the Saints have been under 50 all year. They're averaging 98.7 a game. But believe it or not, Tampa Bay's defense, 5 times this year, they've held opponents to 53 rushing yards or less. They're good at that. I'm going to take over 50. If you told me over under 80, though, I would have a really hard time with this. Yeah. I know. I would have a really
80,
hard. Yeah,
I think I could set it at 70, and I would still go.
You're right. I mean,
under.
the Saints, look, they've been held. They had a 69, they had a 77, they had a 70. So 65, 35 last week. And that was the second worst in a decade.
Do you know why I bumped it down, too? Because Devin White is up, and Devin White is a problem for this team anytime they try to run the ball, is specifically Alvin Kamara. And
he really has been good against Alvin his whole career.
He's been so good against Alvin Kamara. He is somebody who looks forward to it. He even said it in his interviews yesterday with media that when he came back, he could not wait to get on the field for this game to meet Alvin Kamara on the field. It's one of those things where it's just that trio, Levante David and Devin White, are a problem.
We've mentioned Antoine Winfield's name a couple times early in the show, but let me just spell it out for anybody who forgets the nightmare. So here's what Antoine Winfield did in that first matchup. He was the one who forced the Adam Prentice fumble. Remember the Adam Prentice fumble?
No.
When the Saints were trying to give themselves a free yard and get out before halftime. Nope. Antoine Winfield got in there. But he didn't just do the short yardage stuff. He went deep down the field. Derek Carr took a shot to Chris Olave. He broke it up in the end zone. Fantastic pass breakup if you go back and look at that. He also sacked Derek Carr. He also had 9 tackles, including 1 for -6 against Alvin. I mean, he was just a monster in the game, and he hasn't really slowed down. He's got 5 forced fumbles and 4 fumble recoveries on the season.
So I'm looking this up right now, just division opponents. Alvin has averaged 4.61 yards per carry for his whole career against Atlanta, 4.66 against Carolina, and against Tampa Bay, he has been at 3.81. And that's like one of the lowest numbers against any opponent in the NFL. I mean, there's a couple like the Jags. They've played twice. He's at 3.3. So it's a small sample size. Large sample size, though, like he has not been a good runner against them. Like they have defended him really well, to your point. So what are you taking on the 50?
I mean, yes, it's a little ridiculous to put it at 50. But when you see how much the Saints struggled last week, I think Landon Young, now that there's more tape on him, he is going to get tested. Now, Shaq Barrett not being in does make a difference, but they got a rookie over there that's leading their team in sacks. I believe he has 6.5 sacks. Sacks on the year. Very, very talented. I assume that they are going to have him move around now that Shaq Barrett is out for this game, but wouldn't be surprised if it was 45 rushing yards, so I'm going under.
You're going under. I'll take the over. I'm just going to take the over because it's such a low number, and it's easier to say over than under on it. But I mean, I don't think they're going to have a good day running the ball at all. No, not at all. I mean, they're a good running team. Nothing's going to change
overnight.
Yeah.
What is it?
40 alone for Taysom Hill.
Week 17.
Taysom Hill's back this week. That's my bold prediction.
Okay.
He didn't bite on any questions either this week when we asked him about running the football, how those things get fixed. So he didn't play his hand, that's for sure.
Well, because he doesn't know either. Taysom Hill starts a game They've installed everything all week, and he's like, well, I'm either going to get 13 carries or 2 today. I have no idea. He never knows.
All right, let's get to our Martin's question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's is so much more than just wine. Interesting question that was submitted. Is Pete Carmichael / Dennis Allen any similar to Gary Gibbs / Sean Payton? Meaning, if DA does decide to cut ties with Pete, would he be willing to cede control of the offense to an out-of-the-building coordinator like Peyton did with Greg Williams?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, whoever runs the offense is going to run the offense. And if they bring DA back, that's going to be part of the conversation, is that you have to get probably a whole new entire offensive staff. You need to cut the ties with the old way of doing things. You need to bring in a whole entire new system. Who are your guys? Who can you get? How's it going to happen? Okay, we like the answer. We're going to keep you. Like, I think that's how that whole situation is going to go. But I think it's probably, if they bring him back, I think it's going to be conditional upon doing something completely different on offense. And yeah, look, I don't think DA really has his fingers deep in the offense now as is. Like, he oversees it, but he isn't in there like telling him like what
you
schemes
can hear
to
it
run.
in his questions. I feel so bad for him. Like, he is the head coach. So
yeah, he'll be like, I think we should play Taysom Hill more too. I think we should throw it to Jimmy Graham more too.
Well, he's at the podium, not Pete Carmichael, after games. And it's like, can you just bring Pete up with you at this point? Because it just is painful asking you these offensive questions that he clearly can't answer sometimes. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Just have a good OC then. If you're just going to put all the
I read this question a little bit more too, as would Dennis go and hire Joe Lombardi? Would he promote Ronald Curry, or would he be like, screw it, I'm gonna go find somebody like Greg Williams, who actually switched to a 3-4 when they had run a 4-3 for all the, like, it was, or no, that was Rob Ryan when he first came in. I get them all confused because Peyton went through 5 different defensive coordinators. But I do think, I hope that's the approach. I agree Dennis Allen's not going to be hand on either way, but I hope he doesn't try to keep like somebody that these core principles. I hope it's like, let's do something radically different. Let's find somebody. They did. They looked at the guy from Kentucky in college. They considered that at one time. But I don't know what I would think. We've always talked about, is John Gruden a possibility? That would sort of be similar, but it would be a knowledge of Derek Carr too. But I hope it is not, we're going to try to keep this thing going. We're going to keep half the staff. No, I hope it is radical change on offense. And you know,
I can say with a strong degree of confidence that, like, when this thing first started with DA, like, the preference was to have a different offense.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't get the guy they wanted, so they kept the guy they had. Like, I think the way that it gets retold in fan circles is completely different from how it actually happened. And I'm just going to leave that there.
One of the names that has been brought up too, because I think we can all agree Ben Johnson will likely be a head coach somewhere. And if DA is still the head coach, he's not just going to take an OC position with the New Orleans Saints. So some of the young names.
Of course, you're not going to get Ben Johnson, but
Joe
you
Brady,
want the next Ben Johnson.
Joe Brady has been a name, though, that has been passed around. And I wonder, yes,
well, he's
knew
an
the
OC
system.
now. I mean, he got the OC job in Buffalo, so he's not
isn't he still
available
the
either.
interim?
True,
technically,
true.
like,
he's doing
so
a pretty good
hasn't.
job, though.
He's done a pretty good job. That if they don't keep him, I wonder, is he somebody they'd be comfortable with?
Leave the tree. Like, but nobody that's like, get someone that's never even visited New Orleans.
Well,
like,
Joe Brady,
just leave it.
Joe Brady is the best example, because what they need to find is what LSU found in Joe Brady. Like, that changed LSU overnight.
Coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Slowick's OC coach, or Slowick's QB coach, or someone like that. Like that's what you need to do. You need to go find a good offense and then hire the QB coach, or someone that's like, the most well-versed in that type of system.
Shanahan tree.
Like, you can get the guy that, like, grabbed Shanahan's car at Enterprise and parked it, because, like, he'd be a little bit closer to being modern than, like,
right.
Yeah.
It's just
by now, somebody
anyone
who must have worked for Mike McDaniel or Kyle Shanahan or Sean
Somebody's
McVay
out
or
there.
Zach Taylor and look, we're talking about, he came from a different tree. Dave Canales has turned around Tampa Bay's fortunes.
He's done an incredible
job. He was
job.
under Pete Carroll in Seattle for years, and actually got passed over for a promotion when they hired from outside of their organization from the McVay tree. But then he got to work with that offensive coordinator. I can't remember his name now right off the top of my head, but that came from LA, introduced some of those concepts to Seattle. It worked with Geno Smith last year. So there are people out there. Like, I know a lot of people are like, well, if we're not going to get Ben Johnson, who are we going to get? There are people like Dave Canales, like, Ben Johnson. You got to find the right one, because you can make bad hires too. Sean Payton missed on some of those defensive coordinator hires too, but there are better ways, and it could turn around that fast.
Yeah, whoever Ben Johnson's lieutenant is, go get him. Whoever Bobby Slowick's lieutenant is, go get him. Whoever, just whoever's the next guy under Shanahan, like, go get him. Like, just get someone that's adjacent to this greatness that knows how to do it, bring them in, see if they can run it. And if they can't, fire him and get the next guy. Like, but the thing you can't do is just keep sitting there and just like, well, we're going to be patient and wait this out. Like, when it's not working, make a decision, cut ties, do something new.
The next time we'll talk to Mickey Loomis is what, February, the Senior Bowl, or will he speak after the season? Because that's the biggest.
He'll speak after the season if they make radical changes.
But that's the big question I think we all have for Mickey Loomis is, okay, are you trying to stay in this old age or are you moving on? What are the qualities you're looking for in an OC? What are the qualities you're looking for in an offense? And do you have the pieces to build around that offense and to make that offense fit? That's where a lot of things are going to happen this offseason, I believe. There's going to be really, really tough conversations with some of these veterans. And if they aren't fitting, is he willing to make the hard choices? I think if Mickey Loomis stays in 2024, this will be the deciding moment of his career as a general manager, because now is the time when you have to make these decisions. And what is this team going to look like moving forward? Don't let it be a question either. Just say what you want and go do it. It doesn't have to be some secret, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, look, I do think that there is a feeling within the building that they need to do things differently and kind of let go of, okay, we tried to keep it together this way. And I think there's just a feeling that, okay, the offense, like, it just needs to change. It needs to be different, but you actually got to do it. Like, we've heard a lot of different things over the last few years, and you actually just got to go do something, and you got to do something. You got to change it. So I don't really even care what they say. Like, just show me what you're going to do at this point, because, like, it's just, it can't keep going on the same exact way. And if you aren't going to change out the coach, which I don't think they're going to do, then you do need to change all this other stuff. But like, that's the last stand at that point. Like, it has to absolutely. We said it last year though. Like, it's got to work. You got to make fast, and like, here we are again. So.
This is optimistically speaking. I feel like the rhetoric is slightly different in that I think, especially once the moves they didn't make last year, I think there was a big sort of sales. We didn't think we were that far off. We had a lot of injuries. We had a couple games that we thought could have gone the other way. We liked the way we finished the season. We think we have a good core. Like, there was a lot of sales going on about how much they liked what they had last year. New quarterback could really fix things. Better health could really fix things. This year, we haven't heard a ton of rhetoric, but I'm getting the feeling that they're at least aware that this isn't good enough, and they're not trying to sell that this is good enough and that this is close. I agree, and don't think that means DA gets fired, but I think they are going to try to identify, but what does need to be changed? How radical will that change be? How radical can change be? It's not like you can just go out and buy all new players and all new coaches. That'll definitely work. But I think they recognize even more than they recognized last year that change is needed.
It'll be interesting though, because like the people that are buying the tickets and the merch and all that, when you say like they're not being sold, but like they probably do feel like they're being sold, that it is okay, and that they don't recognize it, because you are bringing back the same head coach and you are bringing back the same quarterback.
Exactly.
And to them, it's going to feel like they're doing the same exact thing. So, you know, I agree with you. Like, that, it felt like last year there was a lot more excuses being made and sold, and just week after week, like this, like, you don't hear as much as that. But if you aren't changing stuff, like, you've got to sell. Someone is selling something to the fans.
But you have to sell them on something like the Greg Williams of offense coming in here and saying, we're overhauling that. Right. And maybe I don't think you
get that though. Like, I think whoever they bring in, you don't know immediately.
You don't know it's Greg Williams. That's true.
That's you got to wait and find out, because like the Greg Williams of offense is not coming to chip in here, because,
and it'll be somebody,
because this might last 4 games, you know, and then you're out of a job. Like, so
exactly.
Game predictions. That's how we're gonna finish this show.
Oh, that wasn't the grand finale.
That was not the grand finale. No, we promised.
That was a good Martin's Wine question of the day, though.
It really was, and
we should spend the next 6 months talking about what's next for the Saints.
We will. Sit tight, everybody. When the season's over, we got a lot to get to and a lot to talk about, but it's not time for that yet. So make sure you are signed up, like and subscribe if you guys like what we are doing. We genuinely appreciate it. It is free on YouTube, so smash that subscribe button for us. Okay, I'll just lead it off. I don't think the Saints beat the Bucs this weekend. Just point blank, period.
No, throw it here. I agree. Go ahead, Mike.
I got a weird feeling about this one, only because I think these are 2 roller coaster teams. I mean, we're talking about an 8-7 team and a 7-8 team. The one that just got smoked, the one that's won 4 in a row. I'm just predicting a little chaos. Not because I think the Saints have shown me anything that thinks they're going to win, but if these were two teams I wasn't familiar with, I think the Bucs are due for a reality check, and I think the Saints are due for one of those.
You don't think
we're
they had a
hoping
reality
again.
check during their little losing streak?
They've won 4 in a row. They're not a team that should win 5 in a
right.
row. But one thing I remembered while researching this matchup, do you remember what happened in the first game when Cam Jordan gave his little pithy, is there a rivalry with the Bucs that I don't know about? And then after the game, every player in the Bucs locker room. So this game means a lot to Tampa Bay. They would love to cement their
the
NFC
Saints
South
are full
title.
of crap, man. The Tampa thing's a rivalry to them too.
I
They
know,
hate
I
Tampa
know,
too.
I know.
Like trying to act like that's not it. Like if they aren't your rival, you're tripping because
They're
like
about to
they've
win
won,
this division for the third year in a row,
like,
right?
come on, like your time. Like I'm sorry, this
I
Tampa's
know.
time. Like so,
But that got a rise out of Tampa, and I don't think that's gone away. So yeah,
The one that I was wanting to talk to this week to get those answers, Alvin Kamara, he was sick, so we didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I guarantee if we had a chance, that would have just kind of added fuel to the fire for the Bucs too, because he would have definitely not held back, especially talking about Devin White being back. Do you think so?
no, I mean, but again,
Doesn't matter what they say.
The whole thing that this is a massive rivalry. Like there's been fights on the field.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
act like it's
Yeah.
not a thing is crazy. And
he got burned for saying that. He thought it was a pithy little funny quote, and it became bulletin board material.
It's a real thing at this point in the NFC South, which to me, I mean, the Bucs record alone, I mean, they're
good. They're good. They've become a really good team.
They've become good, but it's still the state of the NFC South. What will it look like next year? Because I hope it doesn't look like it has in 2023. We will be live in Tampa Bay. All three of us will be out there. We will have our pregame show, I believe, still at 9:30 Central, but it'll be 10:30 Eastern time. Just a reminder, if you're not signed up, you won't get the full show. So be sure to go and subscribe on NewOrleans.Football, and we'll see you guys in Tampa.